This half hour on World News Now, how to keep children safe from online predators. Regina Lewis from AOL will join us here on the set. Welcome back here, everyone. We are going to take a closer look this morning at child porn and the internet. A House committee today will continue to hear testimony on the sexual exploitation of children online. Earlier this week, that is, one of the victims testified about how easy it was to slip into the seedy underworld.
My mom had used all the latest child protective software. She checked what was happening in my room. She occasionally took away my computer keyboard, but she was no match for the child predators who worked hard to make sure my child porn shows continued.
And joining us now is AOL Consumer Advisor Regina Lewis. It's nice to have you here, Regina. We heard him testify that his mother used software programs that are supposed to limit the access that child pornographers have to children. What gives? What didn't work?
Well, I think a lot of the software is meant to limit being able to go to sites that might not be age appropriate. He said something very important at the end of it, which is they worked hard to find me. Having spoken to law enforcement officials in general about this issue, keep in mind that the kids don't find the bad guys find the kids.
And that's what parents need to be aware of, that these pedophiles, they seduce,
yes,
they manipulate, they lead you to believe that they are a friend, that they mean no harm, and from there, it all goes awry.
You are absolutely right. And if you were to watch the instant message conversations, it is exactly that. So how's soccer going? You know, and the law enforcement people, they know, like, here we go. Now he's going to invite me this. The other thing, and this was a big part of this story, are webcams. So in this case, Justin Berry, who we just heard, did a lot on the webcams. He was encouraged by the pedophiles, please do this, please do that. He made money this way. If your child has a webcam, they better have a good reason, and you better know what it is.
You get webcam, you get PayPal, you're plugged in, you get seduced. I mean, we've heard about it for this particular Justin Berry from the time he was 13 years old. What would you say then to a parent? A child says, I want a webcam. They're inexpensive. They think they're helping their child. There seems to be no need for it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm hard-pressed to come up with one. Obviously, they've a tremendous benefit, particularly in the deaf community, from a communication standpoint, but things start to go astray there, even on a more mild basis. Even the music video that was really fun, but then kind of leaked, and now, you know what I mean? It's a slippery, slippery slope, so I'd be real careful on the webcam front.
We've got a lot of information that we're putting up as we talk about this, but it's pervasive. $20 billion black market industry, child porn, $20 billion.
Yeah. Now, I will say this. Follow the money, right? It's the oldest investigation trick in the book. The internet's helpful there. They are able to track these guys. The other stat that I know that we're throwing up there is that the average sex offender has 117 victims. So to find one is usually to be able to really make a dent in this, track them down, get them to make one false move like, please come meet me, or send me this, boom, busted, and hopefully that makes a lot of headway. But it's very traceable, and that's how the lion's share of these cases are being solved now.
What we're trying to do here, though, Justin Berry had said that the Justice Department isn't doing enough now that he's testified on some 1,500 men who had seduced him or lured him, or men who had signed on for his particular website. So we're trying to be preemptive here. And how do you prevent a child in the first place from getting online and getting... What is AOL doing specifically that you think is a step in the right direction?
Well, I think a lot of things. One, making sure that parents realize you do have to be involved in this game. The red flag is spending too much time online. So Justin says, you know, in his testimony, having read a little bit about this, he says, you know, they were my friends. I liked them. I trusted them. Your kids start saying, you know, I don't want to be on the soccer team anymore, but you like soccer. Too much, everything in moderation. Too much time online is the #1 red flag. And for girls, by the way, it's I couldn't sleep, so I was just on the computer overnight. So that's red flag #1. And there is no technology. I'm not going to sit here and say, and I know that AOL and the entire industry wouldn't want me to, that is going to be the 100% fix here. This happens. I do think that issue of them contacting your kids is super important. I think having a conversation with your kids that these are not your friends, don't get lured in, is important, because no technology is going to fix that unless you understand what's happening.
Yeah, a couple of things to that point. Justin Berry did testify there in the SOT that we heard in the interview, the testimony, that his mom tried the software. However, he also admitted that before she was on to what was going on, his door was closed for days on end. He wasn't showing up for family events.
There you go.
There are other things to do preemptively as a parent. However, technology-wise, we also need to point out these sexual predators are always looking at ways to get around the technology.
Yeah, and they've used technology from the very beginning. I asked law enforcement, you know, the child pornography, 20% of that 20 billion industry involves kids, which is just, you know, I mean, it doesn't get more awful than that. Did this always exist? Did the internet make it worse or just more prolific, or what's the deal here? They said they didn't know, but this probably thing always kind of existed. Now it is more accessible, but you know, the only silver lining in the story is also more traceable, and I think that's why we're seeing
it's become another mechanism for what has always existed, and that is the seduction and molestation of children. All right, Regina Lewis from AOL, we appreciate it as always. Thank you, and we are back in just a moment.